There is a version of discipline that actually can hurt your trading, and it's the one that gets praised the most. Sticking to a rigid schedule no matter what the market's doing. So today's topic is why I let go of a rigid fixed schedule, trading or not, based on conditions in the market and my own conditions instead of a clock, and how that can improve my performance. And we're going to talk about one of the things that a rigid schedule manufactures, which is boredom trading. So some of you may have noticed that I fell off a cliff and disappeared over the last couple of weeks. I had a really bad day of trading and I was like, I'm quitting. That's it. I almost quit a month ago and then I traded for a while. I made some adjustments, but it just wasn't working. And so those of you who were on my Discord that day, I just was like, guys, I'm out. And I just kind of dropped off a cliff. And this video is partly explaining what happened, and partly talking about rigid schedules, which directly is related to why my trading imploded completely. Okay. So what is the rigid schedule problem? Okay. A rigid schedule is something that some traders adhere to. They sit down for a fixed amount of time in front of the computer and they trade. And that's what I was doing. I was trading every single day from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was live streaming my trades on this channel. You can go back and look at my old live streams. I was also posting daily recaps. And I was doing this day in, day out. I did it on vacation. I did it whether I was tired or not. I did it when I was sick. I worked my other commitments around it. And I really committed wholeheartedly. I was extremely committed. And this became a very rigid thing. Okay. And now there was another issue that is so interrelated with this, but I guess we'll take it one step at a time. Okay. So, if you're committed to being on and trading for a block of time, regardless of what the market is doing, you're removing the one variable that otherwise regulates your behavior, and that is the option to not participate. Okay, so a flexible trader facing a dead session just closes the laptop. But if you're a trader that's locked into a schedule, whether that's a personal rule or a job requirement or something audience facing, like my live stream had me locked into that, my daily recap, I didn't have an option. The clock said that I was trading. Get on the live stream, Raven. And I was trading whether there was really a reason to or not. And this was eroding my discipline. Okay. Even if you have good risk management and you have an understanding of how the market works, this can still generate a whole string of unnecessary trades simply because the format demands your presence or your output, regardless of conditions. And the fix isn't willpower. I tried that. Okay, I tried that. It's removing this structural requirement to trade regardless of what's going on. I mean, that means that I can now trade based on conditions. Okay, so I did continue to trade. However, I've been trading with 10 shares, just 10 shares. And I stopped sizing up to go green and all of that. I just said, well, if I'm going to trade, I'm only trading with 10 shares. I stopped adhering to a schedule. There were days where my glasses just can't get clean today. There were days where I didn't feel like trading. I was tired. I was sick. I had other commitments. I simply didn't feel like it. Or I got on the computer and it looked dead, or I don't know, didn't feel right. So I can still record my trades and go back and look at the footage if I want to. Okay. But I needed to decouple I said I'd show up for the live stream and my recap from I must place a trade. The problem is that having this rigid schedule was causing something that I call boredom trading. Okay. And it's different than FOMO. FOMO, or fear of missing out, is like you see something happening in the market and you want to be a part of it. Okay, maybe you're watching somebody else live stream and they're getting a bunch of trades on something and you're like, I'm going to jump in too. Or you see a stock running up and you're like, I'm going to chase that stock. Okay, but boredom trading, it's like nothing's happening. So you start scouring all the scanners, looking for something to trade, anything. Now I'm like cycling through all my scanners. What can I trade? What can I trade? Is there anything I can trade? Now I start lowering my standards, looking for things that, I'm scalping the tiniest trades, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just looking for anything that I can trade. Okay. And I think part of it is that trading, whether it's red or green, does give us a dopamine hit, obviously. Just like any fun activity gives you a dopamine hit. That uncertainty can really be reinforcing in a way. And but I was finding that I was chasing trades simply because I was bored. I was sitting there for 3 hours. If I was hungry, I couldn't go get a snack. If I was thirsty, I had to wait till my break to go get a drink. If I didn't like what was going on in the market, I couldn't just check my email or do this or do that. I had to be engaged. And that pressure and that boredom was lowering my willpower. And I was starting to look for trades that weren't really that great. Okay. So what changed when I dropped the fixed schedule? Well, first of all, I felt so much relief, like so much relief. Really, I just felt like a huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Okay, I felt guilty about quitting my channel without an explanation. The people that were on Discord with me that day, I did give probably the briefest possible explanation that I had a bad red day and I was done. However, I felt bad about not addressing it on the YouTube channel. I felt like I just ghosted everybody, but I felt so much relief. And I did continue to trade, but I said, all right, now like nobody's watching. It doesn't matter now. I can do whatever I want to do. So I said, okay, I'm going to trade with 10 shares. And if I feel like trading, I will. And if I don't, I don't. And it was awesome. Like I started sleeping in so that when I did start trading, each day, if I chose to jump on the market, I was actually well rested when I chose to trade. The days where I was too tired to trade, I just didn't trade, or I got on later. Or I would get on the laptop, start trading, and realize I'm not feeling good about this. Shut it down. And that was just honestly amazing. And I did explore other types of trading. Like I looked into crypto. I did practice futures for a while, but I eventually let all of that go. I wasn't having nearly as much fun with it as I was trading stocks. So I've pretty much stuck to precious metals, ETFs, large and small caps. But yeah, just a huge amount of relief when I stopped having a rigid schedule. It gave me a lot of more free time to get my house in order. I think I had been kind of neglecting other areas of my life. Okay. And I was spending an inordinate time on something that wasn't paying off financially. So I reduced significantly the amount of time I was committing to this. At the same time, my results were improving. So I had gone from spending a very large amount of time focused on trading and content creation to a much smaller amount of time, purely focused on trading. And I was getting much better results. So I think that kind of speaks to itself. All right. And the other thing is, again, I didn't feel like I had to explain any of my decisions. I just stopped trading futures. I didn't have to explain anything or justify anything, or, it just didn't require any pressure whatsoever. I didn't worry about the trades I missed or things that I skipped, or if I didn't take a trade or what other people were doing, that pressure. I mean, they say comparison is the thief of joy. And I was like super happy for my viewers when they were doing well. But the problem is that they would say, oh, I got 40 cents on this. And I'm like, I should have been able to do that too. Like, I'm just sitting here like a bump on a log and not making any money. So that boredom was, and that comparison was really like, it really was stealing my joy. I mean, I think this is the first time that I really understood comparison is the thief of joy. So now, since dropping the rigid schedule and, stopping live streaming and stopping doing the recap every day and stop having to report my progress and what I'm doing, I just stop when I feel like it. Like there's no obligation to stick to something just because I said I would. And the result has not been less consistency. It's been zero performance pressure and better actual performance. So, yeah, that's been really honestly awesome. All right. So the most direct fix, okay, for I basically also had been extremely rigid and stressed about like what indicators I was using and what I'm trading and why and the dollar amount and should it be this or that or the other thing. I had started off following Ross Cameron, and he has this 5 pillars of stock selection, and I just felt like I had to have these guidelines and stick to my guidelines and blah. And I stopped worrying about all of that. Like, just stopped. And I said, I stopped worrying about everything else except watching. I just started watching. And to be honest, yeah, I stopped trading because I'm like, well, I've been sitting here for an hour, so I have to take a trade. It's just like, do I see something that looks good? Does this make sense? No. All right, I won't take a trade. Yes, I'll take a trade. So this matters a lot. Okay. This whole issue of trading, I realized by taking a break from live streaming and from doing my recap that I did want to trade. Okay. And I did miss my channel, but I knew that I had to divorce the content creation from the trading. Okay. I may still continue to produce content, but it won't be live streaming and it won't be a daily recap. All right. So I haven't even really been looking at the time on this. All right. So for me, a rigid schedule built on obligation, not conditions, manufactured bad trades. Okay. Boredom trading, public pressure, all of that, having a fixed window without an opt-out, no trade zones, no separation between me trading and content creation. All of it produced low quality trades, whether, and I was putting in a heroic amount of effort, you guys, like a heroic amount of effort. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. And so if you're adhering to a strict schedule, I really encourage you to rethink that and feel okay about shutting it down if there's nothing there. My new rule, one of the only rules I have for myself, is around my daily goal. Okay, I also stopped like obsessively analyzing all my trades. It was getting to the point where it was like, what am I doing? Like the setups, all of that. I just stopped. Like stop. But what I did implement is a rule that I have a goal. So for 10 shares, my goal is $10. If I hit my goal, I give myself permission to stop, regardless of what the market's doing. If I want to keep trading, I can. But if I go down to like losing half that, then I want to stop. So I still have a green day. If I have a red day, that's okay. I can keep trading, but my max loss, I try not to go below $10 or $20. I've had one red day in the last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, which has been really nice. And again, it's fine to have red days, right? But I think that says more about how I'm feeling about it than my trading skill. Okay. So yeah, I really encourage you to just be okay with shutting it down. You hear so many traders that say, "Oh, I was up this amount and I gave it all back." Okay. Ugh. So there have been a few days where I hit my goal and then I started to give it back and I shut it down. And I was like, okay, I was like, I'm just going to let myself be okay with this. All right, I think that's enough for today. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope your trading's going well. And if you have an opinion about trading on a schedule versus not, I would love to hear it in the comments. And other than that, I will see you in the next one. Trade smart, everybody.